Welcome to International Securities Exchange's podcast series. Facilitated by renowned educators, ISE podcasts are intended to teach beginning as well as seasoned investors the ins and outs of trading. To find an updated list of podcasts, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts. Please be sure to listen to our important message following this episode regarding the risks of investing in exchange-traded options.
If you're interested in learning more about us, please hit our site, optionsource.net. And, of course, if you have any questions, Jason at optionsource.net is the place to go. Again, I had some slides added here with respect to what is FX options just to reinforce, but I think at this point, Steve, I'm going to have to kind of button things up as I'm required by my clients and my subscribers to be online at 6 to do a little bit of a market update, and I know they'll be waiting patiently. In fact, there was quite a few of them online for this, so I'm going to what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the ball over to you. I'm happy to stay on the phone here for a few minutes, but actually, I think you can take control of that yourself right now, and we'll just make our way out of the presentation. And I'll say thanks very much to everybody right now, and again, always happy to be part of the program here with the ISE.
Chase, thanks so much for giving us so much insight. Just have one question before you go.
Yeah.
Edward gave us a question early on. You know, I think one of your last slides was about not complicating things, but this question so often about correlations. In fact, I've written an article about correlations, and that whole concept of correlation is really a bit more complicated. So how do you balance keeping things simple versus, you know, looking at correlations of the dollar, you know, Canadian dollar, and then maybe oil or yen or euro or bonds, and you know, drawing bigger conclusions?
Well, you know, what's interesting, again, I mean, we're starting to see, like, you know, it used to be that oil was very much trading in line, and there was a correlation with oil, for example, in the value of the U.S. dollar. But what we've seen as of late is what appears to be a decoupling of that, and so that's why, although, you know, those correlations, those intermarket correlations, they're there until they're not, and I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think that it's much more important to just look at the facts, look at what the price chart's telling you, and for example, you know, we can look at the difference between what's been happening on the YUK, you know, the U.S. versus the Japanese yen versus the EUI, for example, where we see them trading completely inverse. But that's not to say that as the monetary policies of each countries change, that we may see, you know, over the bigger picture, the U.S. dollar strengthen against the yen while weaken against other currencies, because the value of the U.S. dollar it relies so much more on what. Of course, what the policy and monetary policy is of the U.S., but what the economic decision is of the country. For example, you know, Great Britain, you know, lowering their interest rates a week or so ago, and we saw a pullback last week, but a little bit of a rally. So that, although bigger picture, you know, we've seen the U.S. dollar strengthening against, you know, sort of the CDD, the EUI, the Aussie dollar, the BPX, the AUX, sorry. I think you still have to take each one as it is and just apply just a sound technical approach, know where your support and resistance levels are. You know, that's like saying back last January that the market's been trending, you know, to the upside for the last 5 years, so I'm just going to stay long the markets. We know how that went. As the warning signs come into play, you've got to err on the side of caution. And you know, I kind of went off on a tangent there, Steve, but realistically, we take it on an individual charting basis. And you know, if it's going to correlate and continue, then it's going to correlate and continue. You know, but we don't want to be on the wrong side of it when they decide to break correlation.
And Jason, I want to thank you. I have about 1 million more questions I'd like to ask you on the behalf of the all the attendees, but I know that your time is valuable. So will you come back in 2 or 3 months?
Absolutely, absolutely. If I didn't have to get set up for a 6 o'clock meeting here, I'd be happy to continue. I'd love to come back. There's always a fantastic crowd and great questions. So we'll schedule something in the near future. And those of you that are online now, just look for my name, but of course take advantage of some of the great guests that Steve has in line over the next month.
Jason, I want to thank you. What I'm going to do is stay on for another couple moments and try to answer any other questions. But, Jason, I want to say thanks again. A lot of insight here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in Toronto.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Please come back in a month or two.
Absolutely. We'll see you in a couple of days, and we'll certainly catch up. No question. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys online in the near future, I'm sure.
Take care, Jason. Thanks again.
My pleasure.
On behalf of the International Securities Exchange. Okay, guys. Now, I want to just take a couple questions. I see there's a question here from Bruce about the website, trying to get the widget, www.ise.com/FX. I'm going to actually type that in, www.ise.com/FX. And I'm going to just type this in. And you'll all be able to actually, I think this is really it's called a widget. It's really cool, I think. You'll be able to go to that site and download it. I have it on my machine. You can download it to your Mac or your Windows machine, so it's really cool. And then if you click on any of the pairs, well, first of all, you'll see all the pair values, but then you'll be able to see the option prices.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. To find more podcasts on options, stocks, alternative markets, and market data, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts.